Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2020 season. We're still on the European continent as the drivers prepare to tackle Monza for round 8 of the year. My name is Justin Sutton, and once again I am joined by Chris Buxton.
Over to the Temple of Speed for the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in the wonderful country of Italy. Wasn't it good to see another name other than seeing the Thrustmaster name on the winning board? That is how the Drivers' Championship currently looks. As mentioned yesterday, Simon Kovacic for Logitech holding on to that top lead, but Vizzi and Stefanko representing Benzina very, very well in second and third. Lucas Brachada bouncing up the order up to fourth, just 2 points behind Stefanko. And Kujela, Pastor, Brachada rounding out the next three. And here, look how close this still is. From 11th to 20th, separated by only 28 points. Absolutely brilliant. So much to play for. But Stepanovsky in particular proved, everything can change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, you really got to get what you can get when it comes to points in this championship. It is still Logitech that leads the way. They're actually coming up on 300 points, and in fact might hit that after today's race if they have a good result. Benzina a little bit further back on 224. Thrustmaster moving up the order, or moving closer to the top with 190 points now, getting very close to that 200 mark.
Here we are then. It is a high time in the afternoon. 5.7 kilometers, 3.5 miles, and 119.2 was the lap time set. Again, another very hot track temperature of just shy of 40 degrees. It's Italy, of course it's going to be hot.
But it is Martin Stefanko that lines up on pole position actually for Benzina, with the Thrustmaster of Pachada alongside him. Kostulik in the TP link on the second row of the grid with Pavel Rigel alongside him. Then comes Sirotech in the ESET car in 5th position. What a qualifying for ESET, ahead of the Dexfin car on row 3. Then comes Peter Kujela in the Logitech way down in 7th position, and Stepanovsky in 8th. Michael Blazek in the Mogul in 9th position, and Jan Sikora in the Autoskola No bringing up the rear. But that makes things very, very interesting. Very excited to see how things are going to shape up. But it is the veteran driver, Martin Stefanko, who put his IndyCar on pole position, and he will be starting from the front as we prepare to go racing here from the Monza circuit in Italy for round 8 of this 2020 season. And the lights are out, and I see a few cars getting a little bit of wheel spin. A fantastic launch, though, for the Benzina car. You can see a pretty significant gap already starting to form. The Thrustmaster car just behind in 2nd position, coming under attack as they make their way into turn 1. Oh, a bit of contact. That was to be expected. The Lenovo Legion car up on 2 wheels is going to be losing lots of positions. The Big Shot car is going to have to take some evasive action and go off the circuit in order to avoid any of that, and is going to drop right down to the back as well. Great start for Jan Sikora in the Autoskola No. He's up into 8th position, but he appears to be moving kind of slowly now. I wonder what's happening with him. And there is Stepanovsky, unfortunately, with that difficult start. But there is still an hour of racing here today, Chris, and there is going to be a number of pit stops as well, too. So just like with the last race, you can't give up. You got to keep pushing forward, try to pick up points wherever you can. But yeah, Lucas Pachada thankfully did manage to avoid that incident, continues on in 3rd position.
Yeah, cracking start from Martin Stefanko. He wants to basically do what Kovacic did at Silverstone, just get into the lead quickly and conclusively, as we see Senol in the Dextrin car making an inside maneuver. Nicely done. He committed to that very early on, and he knew the move was done. Up into 6th position. Oh, Jan Sikora in the Autostone No car trying to do something as well to gain another position. So he's doing very, very well. Nice move. He's got that one done up to 7. Lucas Brachada in the Thrustmaster car. Looking at third position, so Kostadik's had a decent start. Up into second already. He's about a second behind Stefenko. There is the Thrustmaster car trying to press on, not lose too much, not lose too much ground. So it was a steady start for him. Let's see what Stefenko can do. Can he open up that gap up front?
No usage of the push to pass just yet. Just so the viewers know as well, there are some issues with the push to pass and the driver swaps and the way it's displayed and all of that kind of stuff. But essentially, at this stage of the race, the number of push to pass is going to be correct. So Sirotech has in fact used 4 of the 10 push to pass that are available, but it is for the car, so it isn't 10 per driver. It's 10 for the car, and then iRacing resets it so it looks like there's 10, but there's not actually. It gets a little bit confusing. But one thing is certain: Lucas Pachada in third position has used 1 push to pass so far in this race. We're going to start to kind of lose track of the push to pass once we start to see the driver swaps coming into play. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult, but at this early stage of the race, certainly it is easy. And you know what I've just noticed here, Chris, is that little bit of damage to the rear wing of that Thrustmaster car.
Oh dear, that will not be. Downforce is not too drastic at Monza, but it doesn't help. No matter how fast the circuit is, you can just about see it on the longer shot. It's not so obvious from the front, but as the Pachada sweeps round, yeah, you can see that he has taken. Yeah, that rear wing is reshapen. It'll hurt him a little bit. That's only really gonna. Ascari and Parabolica is really where that's going to hurt. You only really feel it when you're up to speed. And there is the might. Look at the beard on Lucas Pachada. That's fantastic. You still are king of the beards as far as I'm concerned. Oh, Stefenko's made a mistake. That's the Benzina car. Indeed. He's made a big mistake. I wonder whether he's just given it too many beans coming out of the Retivilio. And that's cost him the lead. Well, you don't find Master Stefenko making too many mistakes, but he's already trying to have a go back into the Dall'Oggia and can't get it done. Kostadik up into the lead in the TP Link car. And look right behind him. That's Pachada, even with the damage. I think he's more fending off Sirotech in the E-Tech car more than trying to attack Stefenko. But wow, a mistake from Martin Stefenko. I can count on my hand how many times I've said that sentence.
Not a common occurrence whatsoever, and Kostulik was there to capitalize on that rare mistake, moving himself and the TP Link team, again, because this is a team race with the driver swaps and everything, moving the TP Link car into the lead of this race, which is fantastic to see, honestly. It's been a while since we've seen so much variety, actually, in VGP, because, of course, we had the Thrustmaster win last time. Now the TP Link is leading the way. We saw the Benzina leading for a little bit as well, too. We're seeing a lot more variety now that we've switched to these Indy cars, and it's making things very interesting. So, got our eyes at the moment, though, on Stefenko, who is going to be looking to try and retake that, and he has used a couple of push to passes now, and he is going to be looking for the inside line on the rundown towards the first heavy braking zone of the lap at turn 1, the first chicane. And with that inside line, he's carried a little bit more speed, braked a little bit earlier compared to the TP Link, but he had enough overspeed to make sure that he stayed ahead. He does retake the lead of this race and continues on as we've got the Logitech car of Kujela coming in after only 5 minutes. Now, what we saw at the previous race was it was 2 and a bit stops, essentially. So they ended up having to do 3 long stints and then 1 short stint. I'm not sure that this is that. I'm not sure if that's... Yeah, because 5 minutes does seem rather early. Kujela obviously starting a little bit further down. Oh, a fantastic kind of drone helicopter shot as we get the overhead of the Lesmos here at Monza. And again, this is that battle for the lead, essentially. Pachada still managing to keep Sirotech in the ESET car behind for the meantime. We haven't really seen any offensive moves yet from the ESET car just yet. And this is, I imagine, going to be that mistake from Martin Stefenko, just getting on the throttle a little bit too eagerly. Maybe a corner cut, a slowdown?
Yeah, there was I reckon it looked fine from the over... Oh, that was close.
It did.
It looked okay from the overhead shot, but that didn't. Yeah. I thought the tail. I was expecting the tail to get lively then, but that was a little unusual. But that is one thing about iRacing, is that if you incur a slowdown penalty very early on, the way that the simulator works out how much time to give back is based on your lap delta. But the earlier in the race you have incurred the penalty, it doesn't have much basis, much data to base it on. So it basically bungs a figure in there, and it can be drastically painful if you earn the penalty very early on. Wow, I would think Stefanko used a push pass because he took off from the Rettifilio then. But here comes Kostalik then. Kostalik is having an absolute cracker of a race, really staying on the tail of Stefanko. I mean, I was wondering whether Martin's maybe not too comfortable with these IndyCars. I would have said that had we not seen his performance at Silverstone, because wow, did he do an absolutely cracking race to close in and challenge right at the death of the race, coming through Vale and the Vale and Club to try and challenge for the, trying to one more position, which sadly didn't pull off for him. So, we'll see how well he does. Very different circuit in Monza, of course. It's much more of a strategic race. It's more a case of car positioning more than it is sort of a driver circuit, much like Silverstone, which is lots of straights and corners mixed in. This is a vast majority straight. So very different feel about it. Stefanko couldn't, for instance, rely on big braking zones. There's only a couple of them here. So, we'll see how well he does, but Kostlik is doing a great job in hanging on to the back of the Benzina car.
Sirotek as well. He has used a lot of push-to-pass, as you can see looking at the bottom right. And again, it is accurate at the moment since nobody has done any driver swaps or anything like that. And this is that unfortunate incident that involved Pavel Reigl, who started this race from 4th position, 2nd row of the grid. A great start for Lenovo Legion, who had a great race last time out as well, too. And then, just made a little bit of contact with the Thrustmaster, and then the Logitech came in and kind of took out the rear end of that Lenovo Legion car, and that's what ended up putting Pavel Reigl into that unfortunate spin, sending them all the way down into last position, or tied for last with Stepanovsky, who also ran into that incident, having to take evasive action and avoid the chicane entirely. So, thankfully for Stepanovsky and the Big Shock team, they wouldn't have incurred any sort of damage or anything like that, whereas Pavel Reigl likely has some light damage similar to what we've seen on Lucas Pichada's Thrustmaster. Now, Lucas Pichada still holding on well in 3rd position, actually. Looking very strong. He's about 1 second off of Kostulik. Yeah, you can see he's kept Sirotek behind despite the insane usage of push-to-pass from that ESET car so far in this race. It's only been 9 minutes and has already used the push-to-pass 8 times. So that's almost once per minute that the ESET team is on at the moment, which I'm sure it wouldn't be great if you're coming in the car after Sirotek. Hey, where'd all my push-to-passes go? But Sirotek still, push-to-pass isn't that much time. It's a few tenths, something like that. And at the moment, I would say maybe this usage is actually correct, because it's actually allowed him to build an almost now 5-second gap down to the Dexfin car, and it's very difficult to catch a group of cars. Ooh, the Thrustmaster getting a little late into the chicane there, but did manage to keep everything pointing in the right direction. But yeah, if you break away from the car behind you, it's very difficult for them to catch back up, because it's a circuit that is so beneficial to be in the slipstream. So for someone like Senol or the Dexfin team, it's going to be difficult to try and close that gap down now.
Oh, yeah, you saw Sirotek getting a little greedy on the curbs there. He had to really correct the car, really wrestle that one to stay in, to keep it pointing in the right direction. But yeah, absolutely. When you're in the slipstream in a track like this, I mean, think the likes of Daytona or Indianapolis, where there aren't any huge, or aren't very many, major braking zones. I mean the road circuit as opposed to the oval. Of course, there aren't any major braking zones in an oval circuit. But again, the main performance is based upon the slipstream of the car, of you slipstreaming the car ahead. So Blazek's actually having a fairly decent run as well, up in 5th position. Bearing in mind he started in 9th, so a good run for the Mogul car so far. But he is some way off the back of Sirotek, so. Yeah, if he can close that down and get involved in that scrap, that'll do him the world of good. So, yeah, I mean, so that's essentially, you could argue that's a disadvantage for Stefanko, although no one seems to have told him that. Kostalik, again, doing a good job. Now there's a bit of a gap forming between 2nd and 3rd, Kostalik and Pichada. So that Thrustmaster car, we did see him getting a little squiggly coming out of Rettifilio. That would have cost him a tenth or two. It rather depends on how quickly he got on the throttle. His wiggle was during the first apex, so he wouldn't have lost too much there. Lovely helicam shot. Helicam shots are great, but there's a lot of trees at Monza, so they do tend to get in the way of some great racing. But this really does highlight just how well Kostalik is hanging on to the back. There are those trees. So let's see what this is a replay of here. So this is sent on in the Dexfin car. He's getting a little greedy. Oh, yeah. There is... That's how it's very, very easy to do that in these cars. They unsettle very easily at the best of times, and the curbs here in Monza are vicious. So you have to ride them to get the best line, you know, to maximize your speed. And again, your maximum exit speed is absolutely crucial here at Monza, but it does tempt the drivers to take a little bit too much curb or get on the power a little bit too early, and that's what I think happened to Senol there. He was just a little too impatient to get on the gas, which spun the car around, which is unfortunate. That would have cost him a good few seconds, but that's the nature of racing. As Kodiak now, he's got a nearly 2-second gap. Oh,
used to push the pass.
Oh yeah, he did. He's not going to quite get alongside. Well defended then from Stefanko, but he's doing a great job of keeping the pressure on the Benzina car.
Fantastic stuff. I have to say, this is really impressive. And Kodiak has been kind of like a constant talking point for us over the years, because we've seen him from back in the days when Matt Gallagher was here. We saw him, you know, go from entry level, getting lapped, and now look at him. He is right behind the champion Martin Stefanko, and we're now 13 minutes into this race, and not only has he actually led a little bit of this race, he's actually level on push to pass with Martin Stefanko.
Yeah.
The progress that we've seen from Kodiak has been one of my favorite things in all of sim racing, honestly, because he is such a good example of putting in practice, putting in the time, and working hard to be good, because not everybody is just going to be, you know, amazing, instantly in the car and on the pace of a champion, you know, that kind of stuff. More times than not, it's down to hard work. You know, that's what gets you to the front. It's hard work, it's persistence, and that is exactly what has gotten Kodiak into the position that he's in. Now, he has dropped off a little bit since that last lap. I haven't seen any push-to-pass usage from the Benzina or the TP Link. Neither of them appear to be touching that button over the course of the last lap or so. But it looks like he has dropped back a little bit. Now, I didn't notice anything in particular. He's clawed back some of that time on the start-finish straight, as you would imagine, but I didn't see any major mistakes from him. I think he just maybe lost a tenth or two. Yeah, you can see it was about 2.5 tenths over the course of the entire lap. We see Blazek pitting from 6th position, or actually he was in 5th position. I apologize. Blazek was in 5th position. That's a somewhat early pit stop. I do wonder if maybe Mogul is going for a more even strategy on their stops, because again, what we saw at Silverstone were most teams were doing 3 long stops and 1 short stop, when easily what you could just do is 4 stints of 15 minutes each. You know, if you're confident in your 2 drivers and you know, you're happy to just run a little bit out of sync with everybody, which actually makes sense for the Mogul, because the Mogul was running quite a bit out of sync, was quite a bit ahead of the Dexfin, quite a ways behind of the ESET car. So yeah, I think this might be a half decent strategy call from Mogul, if that is in fact what's going on. But it does look like Blazek is going to be staying in the car. So if we see the Mogul come in at right around the halfway mark, 30 minutes remaining in this race for a driver swap, then we'll know that's their strategy for this race.
Yeah, it does look like they're going for the symmetrical one. Yeah. Kodiak. I mean, if you want him to pop the hood and you can jump in, then feel free. I think everybody is doing a similar sort of thing. Yeah, even
Martin is smiling.
Yeah, he's smiling at that one. But yeah, I think everyone is running that kind of same idea. They've done 15 minutes. You've got to bear in mind that over half the lap is flat out. So these things are not fuel efficient. So, yeah, I think we're going to be seeing 3 stops. I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else filters in. Blazek trying something different. Why not? I suppose he's got nothing to lose. He was a little bit on his own where he was. Stefanko comes out. Wow, Stefanko was very quick coming out of the pits. Has given himself, well, he's gained a second or so on Kodiak. And now Mr. Siratek is now to 3rd. He's displaced Lucas Pachada. Oh, is Thrustmaster going for a driver? No, they didn't.
Repairs?
Oh, yes, of course, the rear wing. Yeah, he would have... you know, it depends how bad the damage was. If the damage was deemed to be necessary, he wouldn't have had a choice. But he
Looks
might
fixed
have...
to me.
Yeah, that looks pretty good to me now. So, yeah, he has had that damage fixed. He may not have had a choice. It may have been deemed necessary repairs, or if it was optional, he's opted to take it. Either way, that's what's cost him that third spot at the moment. But we saw how well the Prajada brothers did yesterday, and I'm rather expecting them to do the same today as the remaining cars have all come in. So that's the second time Kushela has come in. So the first time would have been for damage. Oh, goodness me. If Kovacic can do something well in the Logitech car, well, he's pretty much the only one that can do well in their position when they were some 30 seconds or so off the back of the last man. So, oh, the Big Shock team have changed. That's horror now. Stepanovsky has stepped out of the car. And so the first driver change has happened. I think it's the only driver change we've had so far.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Oh,
yeah, I'm not seeing...
Kovacic is in. So,
right.
So, Horror and Kovacic have taken over their respective cars. So, Big Shock and Logitech have done their driver change. Well, if Kovacic can score well from being a lap down, then my goodness me, the man's future is set. That's the ESET car. That's Siratech. So that's first and second. Oh dear.
Oh.
That's well. Kovacic really feeling the pressure, trying to do something too early. Yeah, he's going to have to slow down. He's just jumped over the curb, but of course he's just been lapped. Oh my goodness me, this is not what we tend to see from the Logitech team.
I gotta say, though, this is beneficial for the championship because, of course, the Logitech drivers and the Logitech team leading the way for the entirety of the season, really just sort of dominant. I would say not quite as bad as what we saw with Michael Schmidl back in the days in the Big Shock car, but it's pretty reminiscent. You know, it's not that far off. And I have to say that's certainly going to be beneficial for the championship. To keep things exciting. I mean, we are just past the halfway point of the season, so this would certainly make things very interesting, especially considering how consistent the Benzina team have been, for example, and the Thrustmaster team. Speaking of which, actually, Lucas Pichata, I was just about to say, has actually gone side by side with Michael Blazek and made the overtake around the outside at the Ascari chicane, which is not a phrase you get to say very often. So that was an exciting one. We just caught that right as it was happening. I noticed it on the timing screen. And that is already one position gained. I do believe the Thrustmaster team lost about 15 seconds or thereabouts as a result of that repair, so certainly not ideal, but as you said, Chris, clearly the Pichata brothers with some strong pace in these Indy cars. And Michael Blazek has been, kind of a little bit off the pace of what we're used to seeing him run with in terms of this season so far. But great to see him running in the top 5, but it seems that he just was not a match for Lucas Pichata. There you can see the lap times are actually more than 1 second is the difference. And that push-to-pass counter on both of those cars is in fact going to be accurate because neither of those drivers have swapped out of their cars. So those push-to-pass, and these as well, actually, Stefanko and Kostulik, these are accurate as well because, again, there has not been any sort of driver swaps yet. So yeah, they're still sitting on 2 push-to-passes each. And again, Kostulik is keeping up, and he's actually really fallen out of the slipstream range now, hasn't he? And he's still keeping up. Look at that lap time, only 0.2 slower than a champion.
Yeah, he is having the race of his life at the moment. Look at the gap back to Siratech, who has no push-to-pass left as a reminder, so that's now really starting to hurt him. Or if he does, either 1 or 0, he's got very little left. Kostulik, just as we were talking about, he's just used one. Not a great place to use one on the exit of Parabolica, in my opinion. It's not going to gain you a great deal. You really want to use it either on the exit of the second Lesmo, or at very least on the exit of this chicane, the Rettifidio. Using it on Parabolica, you're already up to... You don't scrub off much speed in these cars going through there, so... But then, these guys have practiced, and still only 0.2 apart as well, so... Kostulik is doing what he can. He's not quite matching Stefanko, but he is doing his damnedest to do exactly that. So absolutely fair play to you. I'm still getting over that move from Lucas Pichata. That was just incredible. Amazing. Outside at the entrance of Ascari. And he's built up nearly 5 seconds over Blazek. So either Blazek has been very, very cautious, or there's a problem in that car. We don't know. And from the outside, unless it's exceedingly obvious, there's a problem there. But But then Lucas Pachada proved this yesterday. Both Pachadas proved yesterday in the Silverstone race. They mean business. They are really, really, well, hence why they won. But they were really on the pace quickly. But then Stefanko blasted through from, he was the second driver in the Benzina car yesterday. Eric Vizzi was the starter in that and did a good job, did a really solid job. And Stefanko, minus a few incidents, was really on the pace. Now started to really get into a stride. Now over 2 seconds to the good over Kostalik. So could we see Mr. Stefanko on that top spot once again? It's been a while since he's been there. He did do it last season, I believe, but only the once, if memory serves.
Yeah, that certainly sounds familiar. I appreciate the directors giving us a quick rundown of the gaps that everybody had. Just we kind of got to watch everybody go through the Lesmos as we're having a look now at Hora in the big shot car. In second to last, and with Stefanko coming up behind him and getting ready to lap him. And it looks like, he's not going to get out of the way before the second Lesmo, so he's going to have to do. Okay. It looked like he was having a moment there for just a second. And there's Kovacic, actually, who is also a lap down. So Hora joining Kovacic in the lap down club as it stands at the moment, but. Again, they've had issues and stuff. That's not pure pace or anything like that. Kostalik now down to 7 push to passes. Last lap a 131.4. That is right around what he needs to be doing. But unfortunately, that most recent push to pass usage did not put him any closer. He may be catching the big shock here at a great place, though, which is on the start finish straight. Ooh, no, I think he's going to be a little bit too far back to pick up any sort of slipstream or anything. He might get a bit of a tow on the rundown towards the second chicane here. He hasn't used the push to pass coming out of Parabolica, so I think he might have heard you, Chris. Maybe he'll use it here to try and close up to the back of that big shot car and see if he could just get a whiff of a slipstream, maybe find half a tenth or a tenth, put him that little bit closer to the Benzina car in first.
We will see. I think Stefanko may have lost a little bit of time behind Hora. That was just a little unlucky. He could have pulled over in the middle of the Lesmos. It starts to get a little bit sketchy if you do that, but as soon as he cleared the Lesmos, he was out of the way. So he did a pretty good job. It wouldn't have cost Stefanko a great deal of time. A couple of tenths, nothing more than that. But I'm surprised actually of the field spread we have this time. It took a while, didn't it, at Silverstone for the field to spread out, and it's happened very, very quickly. But that's the way it goes sometimes. As Kostalik then is closing in on Hora in the big shot car. If it really depends on how lenient Mr. Hora is feeling, he could back out now. But again, this is the awkward thing about those being lapped. They don't want to lose time in their own battles, although obviously Hora's not battling anybody, but he doesn't want to lose any time against Daniel Pastor ahead of him. So what he wants to do is kind of latch on to the slipstream of those that are coming past him. Oh, here's a great opportunity. Hora can just bleed out the throttle a little bit, let Kostalik go, and cost himself very, very little time. Is he doing it? No, he's just carrying on. He's giving Kostalik a bit of a hole in the air to go through that.
Through the first chicane. Oh, that's not the normal place to let somebody through. I don't think Martin Kostalik would have appreciated that too much. And unfortunately, that's definitely lost him some time. It's now almost 3 seconds, actually, between himself and Stefanko. I think he was just a little hesitant getting on the throttle. But unfortunately, when you're hesitant getting on the throttle coming out of the first chicane, that is literally the worst part of the track because, you're carrying that speed all the way down to the De La Roggia chicane. So, that is unfortunate for him. He would have lost a pretty significant amount of time as a result of that. Significant in VGP terms, meaning a few tenths. So, that's unfortunate for Kostalik. But he's maintaining the push to pass now. What you also got to think about is the strategy side of things. We are coming up to the halfway point, which means we are going to be having some driver swaps here, which means Vizzi is going to be taking over in the Benzina car. So if you're Martin Kostalik, are you thinking, do I want to save these push to passes, you know, or do I actually want to use them now to close the gap before the driver swap? You know what I mean? Like, this is where the strategy comes in, and this is what you alluded to earlier, Chris. Is Monza is is that some new damage for Michael Blazek?
Blazek, yeah. Well, it was Prachada was the one with a reshaped rear wing before, but goodness me, he's got very close to Jan Segura. There has been an incident for that mogul car that we haven't seen. And we haven't seen anybody else go into the pits that I've noticed, at least. So either he's gone backwards into the wall, although he's determined to try and get past Jan Segura. Oh, I thought he was going a bit hot into the Parabolica then. Yeah, he did. He went too deep. Is he going to come in? That doesn't look at well. He's not coming in. It looks like he's determined to have a scrap with Jan Segura, who's having a pretty solid race all the way up in 5th position. But then we did see that from the Nobe car yesterday. He got up to a strong position, but sadly couldn't hold it there. But right behind, that's Senol. Oh, nice move with a wounded car from Blazek on the outside of the Rettifilio, or the first part of the Rettifilio. That was nicely done. Oh, that's a one. Now, we were talking about the incident limit earlier. That's Daniel Pastor in the Lenovo Legion car. He's trying to close in. He's pushing too hard to try and close that gap to this fight. So he's up to 16 points. If he earns another 4, he is automatically disqualified. Whoa, Blazek getting very, very quickly. I'm surprised. Oh no, of course. I was about to say I'm surprised Blazek didn't come in. Of course, if they're going to follow that, you know, that equidistant pit strategy, he's due in any time. And also remember that Blazek came in a lap earlier than everybody else. So well, Blazek's on 15 as well, so he can't push too much harder. Yeah, if they have one, a serious impact. Oh, Senol. Is he going to do? Oh, well defended from Jan Segura. Well played. You know, they earn 4 points if they have an impact with each other. Well, both cars do. Both cars involved in an impact will automatically earn 4 incident points. You know, iRacing doesn't apportion blame. It's you hit someone tough, or you were hit by someone. Well, then you're both getting the points. Ooh, steady, Jan. Oh, is Blazek going to come in this time? Because he looks really cautious. No, he's not. He's fighting on. I give Michael Blazek his due. That car does not want to stay straight. That thing is. I mean, it'd be easier riding a horse bareback at the moment. Don't touch the grass. That's determined. And he managed to get it slowed down. What? Goodness me, Michael Blazek is absolutely wrestling that car. Well, Senol was rather, you know, doing everything right, got the moves done, and suddenly Jan Segura and Michael Blazek resume their battle for 5th position. What a great scrap! And all play to Michael Blazek. That thing looks horrible to drive. Oops, no! Oh, he caught the apex too hard. Oh, goodness me, that just set an already very out of kilter car, very upset. So that's dropped Blazek down behind Senol now. I think that's probably going to be the end of this fight for Michael Blazek, which is a shame, but all credit to the mogul driver for doing everything he could to stay in that fight with a very wounded car.
I cannot believe the dive bomb that he safely deployed at turn 1 like that. That was absolutely incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, quite like that. I think there was one time, what was it, Lewis on Kimi at Monza one time at that exact same corner. Oh, here we go into Parabolica now, though. Senol looking to get into that top 5 position. And it's looking like he's with the inside line. He's not quite going to do that. Yeah, it looks like the Autoscola no looking to pit. No, he's not looking to pit. As he cut across there, I thought for sure he's going to be pitting. Senol carried a lot more speed coming out of Parabolica. He's going to have the Autoscola no as Blazek in the mogul does come into the pits at the end of that lap, right about the halfway point of the race. So I do expect a lot more cars are going to be coming in at the end of this lap now. But look at that. Senol up in a 5th position in the deck spin. Fantastic race for him as well, too. It's been a fantastic race for Segura, and I think, you know, Blazek was having a good race until he incurred whatever damage that is on the rear wing. He didn't seem to be super rapid at the time. I wonder if this is going to be that replay, and it is indeed. Yeah, so you can see his rear wing is doing fine. A little bit of a twitch, a 180, and then just clouts the barrier at the exit of that second chicane, and that is what allowed those cars to catch up so quickly. Now, they were catching him. I had been keeping my eye on that gap because he was in 5th position, and they were closing in on him, so I think that was only a matter of time, but unfortunately, that spin and that damage kind of exacerbated the situation for that mogul car that now has Koreny behind the wheel, Matej Koreny behind the wheel, as Martin Stefanko, our leader in the Benzina car, is coming in, and that is going to be a driver swap as Eric Vizzi takes over for the rest of the race, and Martin Stefanko knows he has done a fantastic job. He's done everything that he could do for the first half of this race to try and put Benzina into a winning position, and I think he's just communicating a little bit with his teammate there, Eric Vizzi. You could see him chatting on the radio. Great to have that, to be able to see the drivers like that on the webcam, as Lucas Pichata really giving it the gas there in the pits as the Benzina is moving once again. Siratek's still out there. Vizzi will take over the lead essentially, but yeah, the ESET car yet to come in. That will be coming in though, I would imagine, at the end of this lap for a driver swap as well.
We will see, unless the ESET car, I thought the ESET car had been in, but they may not have opted to change the driver this time around. As a reminder, the driver must, each driver must do a minimum of 25%, 15 minutes. So it could be that Siratek has opted to continue, no push to pass left, so it's a bit risky, but, well, who knows? I mean, we saw the Logitech team do a contra strategy by doing their really short stop essentially in the middle of the race that really threw me out. I thought they'd come into the pits by mistake, as David Pichata has taken over the Thrustmaster car now as he stares at the back of Jan Sikra. So the Autoscola car hasn't changed either. Jan Sikra is still in it. Senol's still got control of the Dextrin car, so this is interesting. You've got some teams changing over at the halfway stage and some not. Well, we'll see how that transpires. The Mogul car still in the pits, that's not a surprise. Holland, the Big Shot car, has been in for a little while. That TB car is, we know, has changed driver, and Kovacic already has the Logitech car, has already had its driver swap, now up to 7th position. But Jan Sikra now up to 4th. That's the highest I think we've seen Jan all season long, but he's, I mean, no disrespect, but David Pichata proved at Silverstone he is really a man on a mission, and if he's got the drive from his brother Lucas, then he is going to storm it at the moment. A few seconds away from Senna, and then in the Dextrin car now up to 3rd position. This really could go any other way, but I'm still kind of hedging my bets that I think that Stefanko has done enough. Assuming that Eric Vizzi doesn't encounter any major problems, and we've seen how easy it is to suddenly end up backwards into the wall, this could well be a victory for Benzina.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way as we have another look at the ESET car on board, actually, with Siratek as he just exits the second of the Lesmos, accelerates down underneath the old banked part of the circuit, down towards the Ascari chicane, where we saw that unbelievable overtake from earlier on. Solid candidate for overtake of the year, honestly. We'll have to wait and see how the rest of the races shape up, but that's definitely going to be a contender, that much. I mean, if it's not, then yeah, we're in for a really exciting rest of the season. Right. But Siratek coming down into Parabolica now, getting onto the brakes just for a little bit as he gets back onto the throttle in 3rd gear, just under 200 kph minimum apex speed. And is he going to be pulling off into the pits? No, I think he is. I think you were right. He did come into the pits. It didn't do a driver change, just like we saw with Jan Sikra in the Autoscola Nobe car as well. So we're seeing that. There is Kovacic, who is now up into 7th position after these other issues. So the Logitech car gaining more and more positions, which is, of course, not great news for the Benzina team, for the Thrustmaster team, for those that were looking to, bring the fight to Logitech and the Logitech drivers in the Drivers' Championship and the Teams' Championship. But they are still going to be taking a hit unless some truly incredible things start to happen in the latter half of this race. But once again proving, and I feel like there's been a number of races and examples that we've seen so far this season where we can point to somebody not giving up and gaining positions and championship points as a result of that, and this is yet another in that growing list of examples. But Kovacic is actually, I've only just clocked, Kovacic is actually about to be on the lead lap again. So that is certainly an achievement and something to push for. So if Kovacic can manage to, and I'm not sure what Kovacic's push-to-pass or Logitech's push-to-pass situation is like at the moment, but I'm pretty sure they don't have 0. So this could be a perfect opportunity for Kovacic to get back on that lead lap. Could well be.
And there you just saw the top of the shot was Eric Vizzi in the Benzina car. That's what 9.3 seconds looks like at Monza in these cars. Again, Kovacic can do it. He's allowed to unlap himself as long as it does not impede the car he is unlapping himself from. Is he going to be able to chase down Pastor? Well, like you say, he is definitely someone that just doesn't give up. And again, why should he? He's got, nothing... You could argue he's still got position to lose. It's interesting that the TP Link car and the Mogul cars are still in the pits. They must have had some serious... Well, we saw the damage on the back of the Mogul car. That was... I'm surprised they've been in that long, so we may not actually see them back on track again, which would be a great shame for them if that is the case. We didn't really see an incident with the TP Link car that I can recall, at least, that would cause them to be in the pits that long. We'll hopefully catch up. If they've been in the wall, we'll hopefully get a replay of that at some stage. But Kovacic certainly has things to gain if he wants to try and get past Siratek. But Siratek does not have to let him go. As much as Kovacic has proven himself to be a very, very fast driver in comparison to the rest of the field, Siratek is perfectly within his right to fight him. And Kovacic then has the added ignominy of, as soon as he does pass someone, he gets blue flagged by them again. So he's got to make the pass and make it in a very big way, basically, to clear them. So
convincing.
He may just... Basically, yeah, he's got to clear them by a convincing amount so that he doesn't then get blue flagged immediately. So he might just sit there. He might try and force the issue. I do wonder whether it's kind of, I say worth his time, not really the phrase I'm looking for, but bearing in mind it's kind of a 130 lap, minus 40 seconds from that. That's a fairly decent gap from Kovacic to Pastor.
50 seconds. Yeah.
It's got to be in that region, isn't it? So, Kovacic may just kind of sit there and mind his own business and pick up any pieces from any other people's mistakes.
Yeah, certainly that would make sense. And no, I think you're right. You have to weigh the risk versus reward, which is maybe one of those mental gymnastics things that people don't really think about when they think about racing drivers, but. Oftentimes you do have to make that kind of decision, and a lot of times you have to make that kind of decision in an instant. You don't have a lot of time to plan. This is one of those situations where he can sit there and think about it, because thankfully for him, Sirotech seems to be moving at a pretty rapid old pace. You know what I mean? It's not as if Kovacic has flown right up to the back of him and now is clearly stuck behind him. Quite the opposite, in fact. It seems that he's actually struggled to close up to the back of Sirotech, or he's just taking it easy, conserving fuel and tires, something like that, which certainly could be another part of it. But that's the kind of stuff that you have to think about as a racing driver, especially when you don't have an engineer, which is something that I feel a lot of people kind of don't really think about when they think of these sim racing drivers, is that they are having to do the job of driver and race engineer at the same time. They don't have somebody telling them now is the optimal time to pit and that kind of thing. It's very, 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 very difficult for those of you that have not experienced actual competitive sim racing in a league or whatever it might be. It's very, very difficult to be turning laps at 99% efficiency while also trying to do the mental maths to try to figure out, should I overtake this person? What corner should I overtake this person? Should I use a push to pass to overtake this person? Should I save my push to pass for the next driver that's taking over for me? There's so much to think about. And really for racing drivers in the real world, there is actually a lot less to think about in terms of strategy. I'm sure there's other things to think about, like, it's 120 degrees inside this cockpit and I am actually melting. So things like that. It's a different set of challenges. But for these guys, it's a lot of mental stuff to have to figure out, and I certainly don't envy them. I've experienced it in a small sort of way. And here we go with Daniel Pastor in that Lenovo Legion, making up positions, going right up to the edge. Alonso and Vettel vibes from that one. But very fair from both of these drivers. No one being pushed off the circuit. That was firm but fair. But the Lenovo Legion of Daniel Pastor is up into 5th position and not that far behind David Pichata, who is quite rapid. And he's not that far from Senol. So potentially a 3- or 4-way battle for the final podium position could happen.
Yeah, Pichata is really closing in on that Dexter car. I've been watching that gap and it has been coming down slowly but surely. So Pichata is going to be challenging for the podium spots before very long. But bearing in mind, we still have that last pit stop to serve and several driver changes still to enact. So I reckon that we're still going to be facing Benzina and Thrustmaster in the top 2. How close they're going to be? Well, they're quite a bit apart at the moment. But again, one mistake is all it takes to completely change that. And we've got... Who's just come in? Is that Horror that's coming again?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah, the big shot car's coming again. So another stop for them. So Zeke Kovacic has been in 3 times. He's going to have to come in... well, sorry, the Logitech car, I should say, has come in 3 times. So he's going to have 1 more to serve. But, yeah, that was a great move from Pastor outside of Curva Grande. You've really got to have a lot of overspeed, but look at the gap he's built up between himself and Jan Sikora. That was he's really starting to motor now in the Lenovo Legion car. I'm looking forward to Pichata and Senol to have a scrap for 3rd position, but I have a feeling that's going to be ruined by the driver change that's going to be coming up in the next 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it is coming right up, and it's going to be interesting to see how things shake up. But Daniel Pastor already has a 2.5-second gap to Jan Sikora and the Autoscola Nove, who is still on for a fantastic result of 6th position. It's been a difficult season for Autoscola Nove, and they've had some bad luck as well, too. I feel that lower down qualifying has meant a disproportionately high number of incidents for the Autoscola Nove team over the course of this season. I think they're a team that could really benefit from like just a little bit better 1-lap pace just to get them a bit further up the grid and try to get them out of some of those incidents, because yeah, it's like I said, it's been disproportionately unfair, I think, the number of incidents that they've been in. They've had some quite good pace, actually, solid midfield pace, you know, kind of just outside the podium pace at a few different tracks this year. And this is a perfect example, actually. The Autoscola Nove team has been doing a fantastic job here today. Didn't quite have the pace of Daniel Pastor and the Lenovo Legion, but I mean, look where Daniel Pastor and the Lenovo Legion car put it for qualifying. There you go. You can actually see they started from 4th position. So they were extremely quick. So the fact that they're only just now getting past the Autoscola Nove with just over 16 minutes to go means, yeah, they've done a really solid job. I tell you who I really feel for is TP Link. Starting in 3rd position, running as well as they were in 2nd position, even leading the race with Martin Kostulik leading the way for a little bit of time. I got to tell you, I really, really do feel for that TP Link team, as Sirotech is in, actually, with just over 15 minutes to go, which means I think we could start to expect to see everybody else coming in as well, too. Now, Vizzy doesn't need to come in before the 15-minute mark because, of course, he's already, you know, he's not in any danger of being below the 25% distance mark. A team like ESET, who ran 1 driver for the first 3 quarters, they have to make sure they're getting into the pits before the 15-minute mark.
Indeed, and apparently the TP Link car detonated its engine. So they would have...
Oh, no.
So well, oh dear. I can only assume that was a setup issue then, because you know these cars are at full crank for over half the lap. We mentioned that earlier. Yeah. So you know, that's why they never reappeared. That is a great shame. Interesting that the Stepanovsky is back in the big shot car. That's the first time I've seen 2 driver swaps in the same car that I can think of. That would have cost him a bit more time. Maybe Thomas Horrow was having maybe he was struggling, maybe he's had a problem, or a technical issue, who knows. But either way, Stepanovsky is back in the car. But look at the lead that Eric Vizzy has in the Benzina car. There is Kovarek taking over the Autoscola Nove car now. Senol in the Dexvin. He hasn't been in yet, I don't think. No, he hasn't been in yet.
Nope.
So, yeah, that's going to be... Yeah, so that's going to put the Thrustmaster, who has been still reeling in Senol in the Dexwin car.
There he is.
There he is at the top of the shot. So just 3 seconds behind the Dexwin car is the Thrustmaster of David Prachada. Then Daniel Pastor just at the top of the shot there, you can see in the Lenovo Legion car. And Thomas Corney takes over the ESET car, now down in 5th position. And that puts the Logitech car, bearing in mind their earlier troubles, into 6th place.
Wow. Wow. That's really impressive, I have to say. The way that they've actually bounced back from that, from being a lap down to being back on the lead lap. But does Kovacic have to come in again? I can't remember now.
He might. Well, because again, they're on a different pit strategy to everyone else, so they may well have to come in again. I'm thinking they already have, but oh, there he is. Speaking of the devil, and that is Kovacic. Who's he come past? That is Stepanovsky. I think he's just gone past. That looks like the big shot car to me. So Kovacic is. Yeah, because of course Stepanovsky, their big shot cars had to make another pit stop, so they are. You can see they're 2 minutes behind Kovacic. So yeah, he's 2 laps down now. Unfortunately, the big shot car as Vakulchik takes over the Dexwin car. Is he going to come out in 5th position? Well, I'll see. It rather depends if Kovacic has to bring that car in again. I wouldn't be surprised if they do have to come in with sort of maybe 7 or 8 minutes left to go. Bearing in mind that they were in. Was it lap 2, low or the end of lap 1 or something like that, when they in very, very, very early.
Yeah.
And Eric Vizzi is in, so this will be the splash and dash laps. Splash final pit stops that they're doing. And there he is. So, yeah, I've completely lost track of who's going to be in when, to be honest. But will David Pachano come in? Let's have a look. Yep. And again, so most people seem to be following a similar kind of idea, and Pastor is literally in the tyre tracks. Pastor, that Lenovo Legion car, is looking set to have a good old scrap with the Thrustmaster car.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was noticing as well, too. That gap's been coming down all throughout the race. It's very interesting that they've both had difficulties. Thrustmaster had a 15-second longer pit stop than they would have needed to otherwise because of a repair that needed doing. The Lenovo Legion was facing the wrong direction at the start of this race.
That's true.
And there they are battling for podium positions as Thomas Corney actually takes over 2nd position in the ESET car. Is he going to the end, actually? I think he is.
Yeah. He's just taken over the ESET car, hasn't he? So that's ESET up into potential 2nd, and Pastor is only a couple of seconds off the back of Pachada. Oh, it's
very interesting. Yeah,
it's going to get lively by the end.
Kovacic 5 seconds behind Vakulchik as well. I have to say, also, I'm not sure if Vakulchik is making the 25% distance mark, because I think he got in with just under 14 minutes remaining in the race. So I do hope that that's not any sort of issue. Now, obviously, the race is a little bit longer than 1 hour. So maybe that will save their bacon, as we say in America.
Leave that one to the stewards.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, as I've said before, thankfully we are not in charge of those kinds of decisions. Oh, but here we go. This is what we really want to see. This is what we really want to talk about. Thrustmaster versus Lenovo Legion for the final podium position. At the moment, it does look like Benzina is going to be winning fairly comfortably. Knock on wood. Just don't want to jinx them on that one. But yeah, it's looking like... Yeah, had to say something. 10 minutes to go, though. It's looking strong for them. ESET as well, looking very strong. But yeah, that 3rd place position, that is yet to be decided.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's Kovacic did have to bring that Logitech car back in, so he's got himself 17 odd seconds behind Kovacic. So, well, we'll see. I mean, he could well just he is back on the lead lap, in fairness. So he has been making up ground whilst we've been kind of looking away. There is Thomas Corney in the ESET car. He's very much no man's land now. He's 18 odd seconds behind Eric Vizzi, and what is he, 6-ish seconds ahead of this pair. So he's just got to mind his own business, really, as David Pachada is going to lose time when he invariably defends against Daniel Pastor, who has been really doing well to reel in the Thrustmaster car, knowing how fast that team is. So that's going to be a mighty stretch. Just 1.2 separates them now Now just one on the way down to the Lesmos. Yeah, okay, Pachada. Let's see how good you are at defending against the mighty Pastor.
This is going to be a good one, I have a feeling. But of course, I don't think either of these teams is going to be pushing too hard because, again, they're both well ahead of the Logitech team, and there is an ESET car up the road to think about potentially. But I don't think either of them are going to be really keen to throw away a solid result with the Logitech car so far down the order. I would think that is going to add an element of caution to the way that they approach this battle with less than 9 minutes to go. Pastor wants this position. Pachada certainly wants to defend the position. They both want to catch up to Corny if at all possible. But more than anything else, really what they want is to finish ahead of Logitech. That is priority number one above all else. And there you could just see the ESET car getting on the throttle coming out of that first chicane just as these guys are coming into the braking zone. It is about just under 4.5 seconds currently. Actually about 4.5 seconds as Daniel Pastor sets the fastest lap of the race. He's going to pick up the slipstream on the run down towards the second chicane. The Thrustmaster car defends the inside line, but the Lenovo Legion car is much faster, actually clears him into the braking zone and easily takes third position. And I wonder if Pachada just really wasn't interested in fighting that, because if he had used his push to pass to try and defend, likely they would have been side by side into the chicane. And we've seen how that chicane has bitten drivers so far in this race already. So I do wonder if Pachada, if the Thrustmaster team are just happy to not use the push to pass and then use it later on, at the so we'll see how this shakes out. I do wonder if Lenovo is genuinely faster, or if David Pachada is just looking to delay this battle until right at the very end.
I reckon he's seen how quickly Pastor's caught him. He was a second faster, was the Lenovo Legion car.
Very fast.
Than the Thrustmaster. So I think Pachada's just gone, you know what? All yours. Be my guest. You go after Corny. I'll just pick up the pieces if it goes wrong. Again, you realistically know who you're in a battle with, but that isn't always the same race on race on race. If you're struggling at a particular venue and you see someone coming behind you that you genuinely can't beat, there are times when it's just better to let them go. That gap between Pastor, keeping an eye on that Pastor Corny gap, that's now 3 seconds. At that last time you checked, exactly 3 seconds. I like that. I do like that kind of symmetry. That was 4 seconds a lap ago, so he could do it. He's only got 6.5 minutes to go, which is going to be around 4 laps at a rough guess. He could do it. Well, might be 5 laps. It really depends on where Eric Vizzy is, who's extended his lead up to 21 seconds now from Corny. So, and there is, on the side of Pastor's car, he can see Thomas Corny. He has got his eyes on the prize well and truly. Already, that's nearly 2 seconds between the Lenovo Legion and ESET car. Any wonder Pachada let him go.
Absolutely flying through Ascari. That was actually a lovely onboard because Daniel Pastor is absolutely on it, just nailing those apexes. No wiggle whatsoever from the car either. It was absolutely planted. You could see the confidence that he has carrying the car through that very high-speed Ascari chicane as he makes his way through the Parabolica and gets on the throttle down the start-finish straight one more time in this race, and we're just about 5.5 minutes remaining. So yeah, I think you're right, Chris, about the number of laps remaining, but look at that, 1.5 seconds, and David Pachada has not fallen off the back. So I think you're right. I think he knew Daniel Pastor was not a realistic contender for him. He's not going to be fighting with him. He knows his best opportunity here probably is to just use that wake, use that slipstream coming off of that Lenovo Legion car ahead of him, use what remaining push to pass he might have. And again, at this stage of the race, we don't know. Chris and I have way too much to think about to try and keep track of all the push to passes that everybody has, because again, when they change driver, it kind of breaks the counter. It makes things a little bit more difficult for us. But yeah, I think David Pachada has done the right thing here. He's kept right just to the back of the Lenovo Legion car, and that could be an opportunity for him potentially to overtake Thomas Corny in that ESET car for what will be the final podium position in third. which would be incredible for Thrustmaster to pick up a win and then immediately followed by a podium, but crucially both races ahead of Logitech.
Yeah, that's really going to spice up the championship. Here comes Pastor. Is he going to try and dive? No, he knows better than that, than to dive on the inside of Parabolica. He knows better than that, but he is shaping up the move for the Rettifidio. Needs a decent exit, and oh, look at that. There are no competition. Oh, goodness me. In Kerr's terms, I call that dumping the battery, where you just hit the boost and you go. I think you were onto something, actually, Justin, when you said that Pritchard was saving some push-to-passes. I think you're right. I think he's used some to hang on to the back of that Lenovo Legion car, because the pace difference we had when they swapped round would mean that Pritchard should be a lot further back than where he is. So I think he's used some push-to-pass to keep up with the Lenovo Legion car, which in itself is slightly disheartening, because you want to be either getting away from or overtaking and not just keeping up with it when you're using that extra boost. So David Pritchard can still well get involved in this battle, especially if Corney can find that little bit more pace. Yeah, if he's got some more push-to-passes to use, he could actually put the pressure back on Daniel Pastor, especially if the Lenovo Legion car makes a mistake somewhere. So this isn't done. The fact that Pastor's made the move is not all done and dusted yet.
I do believe the E-set is out of push-to-pass, because again, Sirotech would have drained at least 9 of those just on his first stint. So yeah, certainly I don't think the E-set has any push-to-pass to play with here. And you can see it is slowly starting to drop back from that Lenovo Legion. Oh, that's a big mistake through the Parabolica. That's quite wide. That's going to allow the Thrustmaster to close right up to the back of the E-set car with a much better exit speed coming onto this start-finish straight. Probably going to use a push-to-pass as well. Gets the inside line heading into the chicane. Gets well ahead before even getting into the braking zone anyway. We'll see if Thomas Corney is going to try a lunge, but no. I think he probably knows that that's that is over with, and ESET I think would happily take a 4th place finish here in Monza. I mean, that's a solid result. Just over 2 minutes to go. Vizzy about 23 seconds up the road from this battle for 2nd position, but I think we are going to see this start to spread out now. I think this is the genuine order of those cars. I think Pastor is the quickest at the moment. Pachada lapping in the 131s, not that far behind, and then as you can see from Corney, last lap a 132.2, and that was with some slipstream coming off of the Lenovo Legion that was ahead of him last lap as well too. So certainly I don't think Corney is going to have what it takes in order to make an overtake here on the Thrustmaster car in terms of straight line speed. I don't doubt his talent level, but I wonder if he's got any push-to-pass left, if he's got any tires left as well too. It's possible he may have burned out the best of his tires just trying to maintain the gap to that duo that just recently overtook him. So he may have pushed too hard too early and just ended up with nothing left in the tank. But Vizzy is going to be on the final lap already. These guys are just coming through, or is it the final lap? I think it is. I think it is going to be the final lap that he's on right now.
Might be big.
It's going to be close.
I think it's going to be
Curva Grande.
No, that's Curva Grande. This is final lap. Then he won't beat the flag from there. I mean, he could back off at this point and just bring the car home.
True.
He could actually just ignore top gear and just cruise. Not that he will. I'm sure he'd love to admire the scenery.
32.9 last lap. Do you think he actually is slowing down to make sure that it's just one more lap?
Probably.
Yeah.
He's and yeah, that's the thing though. I have seen drivers caught out. We've seen it already as well, where drivers have been caught out because they calculated their fuel 1 lap too short because they think that the driver that is going to come over the line is going to beat the flag when they don't. So, but there's no way he's going to get to. He's quick. He ain't that fast. He ain't going to get from Parabolica to the flag in 5 seconds. There we go. Final lap. Checker flag is out. Stefanko, isn't he just chilled? He's done everything. He's done everything he can. But what a win. Yes, you have every right to be happy about that. Your winner here in Monza is Benzina Orland. Eric Vizzy Eric Vizzy is still... You've won! Smile, man! Marta Stefanko is delighted and has every right to be. Second is going to be Daniel Pastor for Lenovo Legion. David Brichardo for Thrustmaster. A second podium for them. Great effort there. Thomas Corney, again, solid effort there for ESET. Vikulchik is going to take 5th in the Dex. I don't believe it. Kovacic still has found someone to challenge in the dying stages. He's looking to take 6th from the Autoscola Nobe car of Kvarik. Yeah, well, he can certainly do it. I was keeping an eye on that gap. I was thinking he might do it before the checkered flag falls. And Kvarik's not making it easy for him. There goes Kovacic outside. No, he can't do it. He can't do it on the outside of Ascari, and that's compromised the Logitech car. That's an unusual line to be taking on the exit of Ascari. Kvarik doing everything he possibly can. I fully appreciate that we can see the Benzina team really celebrating, but this is a fantastic scrap going on here. It's literally to the line as... there's impact there as Kovacic is doing everything he can. He's bounced off Kvarik. I think that is going to secure those 6th place for Autoscola Nobe, 7th for Logitech. Goodness me! That was insane finish. So there it is then. Martin Zafenko and Eru Vizzi for Benzina Orland on the top step. Pastor and Rigel for Lenovo Legion in 2nd, and the Prachada brothers taking the 3rd spot. ESET of Carney and Sirotech take 4th. Dexfin of Senon Vikulchik 5th. Autoscola Nobe hang on to that 6th position for Sikora and Kvarik. Logitech down in 7th. Not a position we're used to seeing them in, but every team has their bad days, and they've done so well to avoid it up to this point.
Incredible stuff. Simon Kovacic does lose a little bit of that lead. It is now Eric Vizzi that is, quick math, 35 points behind after 8 rounds. Martin Stefanko in 3rd position on 127, 10 points ahead of Lucas Pachada, the leading Thrustmaster car. And we can see in the Drivers' Championship, the second half of the Drivers' Championship, things still very, very tight. 32 points between Thomas Corney in 11th and 20th position. In the Teams' Championship, it has tightened right up, with Logitech now sitting on 290 points. I think I may have jinxed them a little bit when I said they might break 300 today. Benzina now sitting on 275, just 15 points behind, with Thrustmaster only 51 points further adrift. And that is going to do it for today's broadcast. Big thanks, of course, to Chris Buxton for joining myself, Justin Sutton. I want to say a big thank you, of course, to all of the drivers and everybody on the VGP team. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.